All right. Welcome to the second day of Finland TalentMatch and the first session of the job fair track. So during today, you will hear how it is to do job search in Finland and what kind of possibilities you can utilize when looking for a role in the IT and tech field in Finland. We have the chance to hear from diverse perspectives and from diverse experts in the field. Um, my name is Joona Turbari. I'm a part of the organizing team from the city of Tampere. During this session, you will have the chance to use the Q&A function so we can pick the questions that have been put there and ask the speaker after the presentation. In this session, we have the honor to introduce Lumi Tomperi, who is a senior talent acquisition partner at Wolt with a nearly decade of experience hiring for tech and product roles across Europe. She has worked closely with engineering, data, product teams, and she brings deep insight into what makes candidates stand out in competitive markets. The title of this session is Cracking Tech Jobs in Finland from Interview to Salaries and Negotiation Tactics. But without longer ado, I will give the stage to Lumi and welcome you to this session. Thank you for participants for joining. I hope you enjoy the session. So Lumi, the stage is now yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Joona, for introduction, and thank you all who are joining us this gloomy morning. Our topic today is wide, and let's move on. I will try to cover a few parts today and have a discussion with you about how to crack tech jobs in Finland. We do have limited time. We would love to leave also a few minutes for your questions, and I will try to answer some of them. So let's dive in. Just as we know, all of us knows that economy situation may be not the brightest in general, but not to worry and not to be scared. What we will look through, we will just briefly jump through overview of the tech jobs and the fields and what is developing right now in Finland and where to look at. We will touch point quickly salary points, how to negotiate, how to talk, just give you not the magic pill, but thoughts to think and next step that you can use to prepare for your job search or for the interviews that you will have. So what we're talking right now, what we can see on the landscape of the jobs that are appearing, that you can see on the different websites, on LinkedIn as well, that AI, of course, is booming. There is a strong demand in AI field. But what does it mean, the AI field? There are a lot of tech jobs behind it. So it does cover engineering, it does cover product management, it does cover anything that is related close to it, whether it's a core coding, whether it's designing. AI is a trend right now, and we have to accept it. And there are a lot of new appealing roles there. What does it mean for us as a recruiters and for you, for those who are looking for a job in that field? Is looking for the transferable skills, looking for people who are willing to learn and move and adapt faster. Very often the tech industry is about upskilling all the time, staying on the top of the trends, or even being before the trends in front. So how we use AI today and maybe how we use it from 5 years from now. So this is a skill and this is a tool to utilize, and this is something to look into, not the jobs that are already in the market, but also looking forward for the jobs that will be in the future in the market as well. And AI will be only increasing because it's part of our day-to-day. We are already, as a recruiters, looking for how you use AI. If even half a year ago, I would be asking you not to use AI writing your CV. Now, during my interview processes, I will be actually asking you, how are you using it day to day? Because nowadays it's a tool. It's something the same if I would be asking you, how do you use your G Suite? How do you use Excel tables if it's part of your work. Gaming industry still remains strong in Finland. There is a startup ecosystem. We do have a big players like Supercell, Metacore. Unity still remains strong. So the gaming industry is there. We do have quite few different openings on different sides of the companies as well, from very small 10 to 20 people to the larger enterprises as well. So that's definitely the area to see and to follow. This is one of the industries that, of course, also have been going through the rough times the past 4 or 5 years. However, we do see the positive trends there and openings if you start to look on the field. When we're talking about the clean tech, the startup environment actually quite appealing and interesting in Finland. If you follow up the Slush, Mario One, Aalto startup sauna, you can see that there are more and more findings in the clean tech, in the environmental changes programs. So there is still the field where you can combine not just the coding tech jobs, but also the tech jobs when it comes to the civil engineering. So there are quite few jobs which are in between there. So it's all about your skills, it's all about your experience, and also thinking on the skills and experience you're moving forward. SaaS market expansion, this is also one of the area which is strong and remains strong in Finland. SaaS enterprises are still something that in demand. Again, comparing to the previous years, we might see that the job sector is not as active. However, there are openings. Keeping an eye what is opening there, keeping an eye in the companies that do grow, do change, that also helps you to stay up to date and in front of the changes in the tech environment and in the opening jobs. I jumped through an overview of the market. As mentioned, we do have a bit of a short timeline today, so I'll try to fit everything briefly. So when I'm talking as a TA or recruiter professional, of course, when we do have interviews, we do always check for the fit, or meaning how to find the right candidate to the right position to the right company. And it does mean that we are not looking only for the people who technically, or if we're talking about soft hard skills as a part of the job requirement, but as well the people that you're feeling comfortable to work with. So when we're talking about Finland and the cultural aspect or the cultural benefits of Finland, so I don't like personally as a recruiter fit. I don't think that we're looking for someone fit, but it's more about how to find the right people to work with the right people. However, when we are talking, we're talking as well as a recruiter, we're checking behavioral. So we're checking, would I be comfortable to work with that person? How that person will be part of the team? What is the dynamics of the team? So when we're talking about this cultural fit, we're talking about how person will be a part of that team, because very often we're not talking about the individual work. We do have to communicate with other people around us. So how does a person able to present themselves? How they're coming across? How do they collaborate? If there are any red flags when it comes to the communication. So I do understand they're very different. However, it is essential to build the trust, to build the connection, to build this rapport with the team members, because we do need to communicate with people. So in reality, the fit is something that you actually trust this person to be part of your team, to be a part of your company, and develop this company together with you. How does the recruitment processes work? And I'm generalizing very much here, because each company can design their recruitment process the way they prefer. The smaller companies might have it a bit leaner, the bigger company might have more steps. However, working in 3 different companies on the tech jobs, that's usually what we have been following. So we get the CVs, and just to also, as I mentioned, AI at the beginning, in EU, CVs are still strictly viewed by people, by humans. So by EU laws, AI is not allowed to reject candidates. So that's first demystifying. If anyone wanted to ask any questions, we are, as a recruiters, when we get the initial application, we screen CVs, and we might have the ATS systems, application tracking systems, like a database where we store the CVs, where we might have the filters to help us to bring some CVs on top by the keywords, by the expertise. However, there is always a human behind who screens the CV. So initial application, how do you come across on the piece of paper? The best advice there, be as you are. Make it as clear as possible. As a recruiter, I might have 300 to 500 CVs for one application. So be mindful about the time or the person time on another side of the screen. So your CV. Then typically it is a conversation with a recruiter. And I will mention it later in the presentation as well. But this is your moment to actually connect with a person, to show who are you behind that paper that you submitted, behind your listed expertise and listed experiences. After that, typically you probably would have a technical assignment, because we are using it usually as a pre-screening, because the time of the hiring manager and the time of the team is expensive. So if the role does get a lot of applications, very often companies are using different platforms like a Codility, DevSkiller. So if you're an engineer, practicing those ways of submitting your tests or technical assignments, it is a skill. More technical assignments you have done, easier it is for you to do. They might be annoying, there might be time consuming, but it is one of the exercises as well to understand, or can be asked to understand, how the team is working. Very often team does try to make the technical assignment as close to actual role as possible. Sometimes it can be the hiring manager screening before technical assignment. It depends on the company, it depends on the design of the recruitment process there. Team interview, as mentioned, the usually and typically team time is, releases, codes, taking care of the product itself. So the time is pricey, but usually in the process, there is a team interview. The team interview can be structured in different ways. So it can be more technical, it can be a review of the assignment that has been submitted, it can be architecture, it can be system design thinking. It really depends on the role you're applying, on the role you're interviewing, and on the skill sets. There, the clear structure of your presentation, discussion, storytelling, connecting with the people through the interview, not just being an expert, but showcasing your expertise, is very important. And then there is a final decision. Usually what's happening that all members of the interview process, hiring team members, are submitting their scorecard or feedback on what they see or what they think. And that's where is the team sitting down and discussing how to move forward with a candidate. Can be few outcomes. One outcome, hiring, then everybody happy. Another one that unfortunately not hire. And hopefully recruiters do receive recommendation what exactly went wrong and what can be done better. Then we can give you a feedback how to move forward with that. So what is inside recruiter mind? So we are very often seen as a bottleneck, the first door who you shall not pass. However, it's in our interest actually to pass you through and to assist you. So as a recruiter, what I'm looking for, not only about your expertise, I would love to understand what is hiding behind the paper. I would love to understand why we're talking today, what you're looking for, how this particular role will be advantage for you, and how you will be advantage for the team. So your motivation, and not just I'm motivated and we do understand. I want to also just note that when you do the job search for a while, there might be rejections, it can be the downtimes. And at some moment, it's like, I just do want to have a job. That's amazing. However, it's not really appealing. Again, the economy situation is such that we have hundreds of applications on one role, and it's just play of numbers. We do have great candidates, and then out of great candidates, we have to pick up one at the end. If the position is only one, there is only budget for that position. However, you can showcase here whether you made a research about the company, whether it does aligns with your interests, and it can be very pragmatic interest. Your company is operating in this sector. I'm interested. Your company is using this tech stack. This is a tech stack that I have been working for a while, and that's what I want to continue. Do not lie, but do find what will motivate you on the day-to-day tasks when if you're joining this company. It will help you to come across as a professional, as an interested person. Clear communication. This is very often the biggest challenge when I meet different candidates. There might be passion, but then they might get off track. I'm not the engineer myself. I'm not a product manager. I'm not the person who maybe technically skilled. So if someone will start to dive into the Python code and explain to me how to write the line of the code, I will get lost. Please do not put me as a recruiter to the position where I feel lost. Help me to navigate through your career. A clear communication. Why, what, where. Keep on track. I don't really need to know the story about the family. If you get hired and we have a coffee chat, I would be more than happy to hear that. However, we do have limited time on the recruiter screening, so please learn how to present yourself, practice it. Collaboration skills, very important to show and explain as well how you have been collaborated with different people. You can be a superstar, you can be a genius. If you're not able to explain to others and collaborate and work together with others, that will be a red flag. So definitely collaboration skills, how you have done it, what you will do, and how it will be applicable in the new role. The red flags, when it is high level introduction, when the candidate is telling something, I have done a great product, it was amazing, it was the best, without actually explaining why it was amazing, why it was best. Something in a way that you do keep a conversation, but you don't get anything out of it. That's really difficult. That's probably would be indicating the lack of experience and lack of ability to explain. All of that, what I have mentioned, actually can be fixed by the simple STAR technique. If you use a STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, result, it will help you to structure your presentation, structure your answers, and pass the interviews. Use the STAR technique. Prepare 2-3 stories for your interview. And through all the interviews, prepare through 2-3 stories that will explain your expertise, and it can be in the different areas: technical expertise, communication expertise, and leadership. And then you can adjust or share these stories when you ask different questions. You can use the same story into the different aspects. Research. Running out of time, so I'll go a bit quicker. Do make your research. I do understand that the salary aspect probably the most interesting for you. I will mention that negotiation, it is a two-way road. You're not the one who is just asking. Recruiter on another side is also interested to have this conversation. Make your research on the Glassdoor and other sites, how much your particular position might be cost, but also have an open discussion with the recruiters. Starting from the next year, Finland will be one of the countries that companies will have to show or put in the job advertisement how much the range for the position. However, the range is always what I advise my candidates to tell. Think about numbers that you're not ready to go below. Think about the number that you're pretty happy, and think about the numbers that you get it and you start the job right away tomorrow with no questions. These three numbers will make a range and will make it easier to have this conversation with a recruiter. You will make it easier for yourself, and for recruiter as well. Last, quickly rushing through, be visible, create your projects. It does take time, build your networks, be part of the meetups, be on top of your technology, be on top of your communities, meet the right people, connect with people, learn from each other. And definitely when it comes to technical skills, do engage in the industry. Sometimes a project comes from places you haven't thought or haven't really researched. GitHub projects, open source projects are definitely something to worth. Quickly, curiosity, that's probably what I have seen the best skill ever because it's about upskilling, it's about the interest in life, it's motivation. Curiosity is a super skill, absolutely there. It's an energy, it's a next step. It is something that keeps you up to date and keeps you moving forward. So be prepared, be proactive, be yourself. And I see that I'm running out of time and we're on the perfect Ask Me Anything.
Okay, thank you so much, Lumi, for the very insightful presentation. Very many perspectives to the topic, and we have a lively discussion in the Q&A chat. Some questions that I will now bring for you to answer. The first one was regarding the games industry. It seems to be incredible according to the one who posted it. And is it possible for juniors or fresh graduates to join this gaming industry?
Absolutely. As actually, for a fact, the companies do open internships. Usually and typically in Finland, internship positions start to be open at the beginning of the year. So keep an eye on the companies. I do know that the Supercell team is quite proactive. Metacore, I think, had their internships last spring as well open. So definitely, I do know that Hive students as well usually are quite active in the communities. Of course, it's a little bit hard to predict what exactly the companies are looking for, but being there, keeping an eye on the openings always helps you to stay on top of the curve.
Thank you so much. Then another question. Opportunities for non-EU candidates are very limited, aren't they? What would you answer to this kind of question?
I think it's a tricky question in the sense that we are not discriminating. So I have been privileged to work in the teams that passport for us didn't matter. And in the tech industry, it has been much easier because the English skill is usually the mandatory one to communicate with others. And other skills like, let's say, Finnish and Swedish is not needed as much. However, it can be that companies that are working in the governmental projects, they might to have some restrictions. But again, I would say that if the team know what they're doing, they're looking for the skills. They're not really looking for the passport when they're hiring.
Thank you so much. Then another one, maybe directly to Lumi regarding specific question. What would your advice for junior level SAP professional in Finland, especially those interested in manufacturing or production be? I'm looking to kickstart my career in SAP technical consulting.
That's really cool question. I think right now you need to build this, like make a research. Where does SAP is used? In which companies? Where do those consultants work? Do we have them in Nord Cloud nowadays? Do we have it more on the constructor? Do we have more? I do know that like airlines, this hardcore engineering, they're always understaffed. Those are like looking and sourcing and headhunting people. It's the toughest people to find. So in a way, not traditional tech jobs. You do need to make yourself the list of the companies that are using, identify a couple of those, keeping an eye, getting into the projects. Sometimes this SAP once requires the certifications. Sometimes the sales jobs are also the way to enter those because then you kind of get into the industry and you get to know the products as well.
Thank you so much. Then a question that was upvoted quite a lot is a tough one. While the unemployment rate in Finland is high as over 10%, what would be your take on the high unemployment rate right now? We already emphasized that these technical field needs are, of course, long-term needs in the Finnish technical field. So not all the positions might not be visible yet, but we are expecting to be more than 130,000 positions in the tech field in the future. But what would be your view on that?
Let me find my crystal ball. I think this unemployment rate is unfortunate across the world. It's not just something in Finland, not just something that we have right now. What's happening, keeping an eye on the investment, what's like startups, the market trends are not starting in Finland. However, the base in Finland is very strong. Enterprises, new innovations, definitely. If you have skills and something, I would say never give up, continue doing it. But there is no magic pill or easy answer, I would say.
Yes, thank you so much. We have few more questions, time for those. Maybe a quick one. Do you recommend to use AI in job application, or is everybody tired of it? You
I
touched
do not
upon the
recommend to use,
use.
absolutely. I would beg you not to use AI tools that are automatically creating CVs, all those CV writers. Use them as an assistant. Use them for the creative ideas. Like I'm using AI daily as my assistant, as to put my thoughts on, but it's usually my thoughts. And then I ask help to organize and to make it clear. Do not trust AI fully build your CV or write your CV because it's visible and it's not you. Because you will come to the company and you will not talk the way AI talks. So please be yourself. That's the best recommendation. Use AI tools. They need to support you to make your life easier. However, do not completely replace yourself with AI.
Thank you so much. One question that I actually found very interesting, that you mentioned this continuous learning as a kind of a perspective to keep. Would you a little bit elaborate that still? What do you mean by that continuous learning, especially in the Finnish work-life context?
Well, my continuous learning is a Finnish language. That's my personal continuous learning. No, I think like a continuous learning, that what I also mentioned, being curious. Be flexible, know that there is something that you unknow, that like even if you're experts, there are always something to learn, whether it's behavioral, whether it's something else. Like even using AI, you need to learn. Like GPT is available to everyone, but how do you use it? How do you write this prompt? How can you use it differently? So continuous learning, it's not about just studying, like I'm taking another master degree and another master degree, but it's more what skill am I missing and what will help me tomorrow to outstand in my day-to-day. And then picking on that, whether it's a communication, whether it's a change management, whether it's a coaching skills, whether it's psychology, whether it's emotional intelligence. So learning every day, learning from each other, that's for me is a continuous learning.
Thank you so much, Lumi. We are would have a lot more questions, but unfortunately the time is out for our session now. We would really like to thank you, Lumi, and all the participants for active discussion. The organizers will stay online to answer a few more questions now after the presentation is done, but please stay tuned for the other sessions in this track. And like said, Lumi will be staying in the background, and us organizers will continue. But thank you so much for participating in the first session of today. And we wish you to enjoy the rest of our sessions today. Thank you so much.